If you think you need a 50-page marketing and business plan to get started and to build a successful company, think again. You don't need that at all. Too many entrepreneurs get stuck in analysis paralysis and think of every detail that needs to go into a business plan. A simple action plan is actually far more effective to grow your business than one that is overly complicated that you're never going to look at again. So today we're going to break down the essential elements that you need for your business plan that will actually work in growing your business. It'll serve you as a roadmap to guide you over the next year, 3 years, and 5 years. So if you're ready, let's get started. Welcome to the Hobby to Profitability podcast. We're all about figuring out what it really takes to build a successful and thriving business. I'm Jacqueline Green, marketing nerd, AI consultant, and entrepreneur who's been through it all. My goal is to help you get the strategies, the tools, and the mindset shift you need to grow your business without the stress and confusion. Every week, we'll dive into real, unfiltered side of entrepreneurship, the mindset shifts, the strategic moves, and the unexpected lessons that come with building a business. We'll talk about what actually works and what doesn't, how to navigate those changes and challenges that you face, and how to create a business that really fits into your life. If you're ready to turn your passion into profit without the overwhelm, you're in the right place. Hey there, welcome back to Hobby to Profitability, and I'm Jacqueline Green. In today's episode, we're talking about creating a simplified action plan over a complicated business plan. Unfortunately, as entrepreneurs, especially as you're getting started. Now, when I say getting started, you may have been running your business for the last couple of years and just not making progress. Or you're just starting and you're like, okay, what do I need to even get started? So often we think we need this big, huge plan to be able to tell us where we're going. And we think that that plan is needed for whether you're getting a loan or whether you're getting investors in your business. And a good business plan or strategic action plan is more powerful than that. It actually helps you and creates a roadmap to get you from point A to point B. And so most successful businesses don't operate off this massive document. I have had that problem where when I first started out many, many years ago, I created this huge document thinking I needed it because I was so used to creating those type of documents in corporate that I ended up creating something that I never looked at again. It was kind of fun, but it was not necessary, and it didn't help me really focus in on what I needed to do to move my business forward. So today we're going to actually break down what is necessary for your business plan and what you can ignore. We're also going to talk about what are the essential parts that go in that business plan and the roadmap, not a rule book. We're going to walk through the different sections and we're going to explain how the simple plan can guide you over a period of time. Now, before we get started, please hit the subscribe button. This lets me know that you're finding value within what we're creating with the Hobby to Profitability podcast. So let's get started. Now, why you need a business plan and why simple is better. Let's talk about that question first. The biggest mistake I see new entrepreneurs making is thinking a business plan is only useful for getting a loan or getting investors, and that's wrong. Really, your business plan isn't for a bank, it's for you. It's your roadmap to kind of guide you and tell you what you should be focusing on, what you should align with, and doing that in a strategic way. Unfortunately, many entrepreneurs come in thinking, I'm going to do A, B, and C, and they don't realize all the other things that go into it, and they become very unfocused. Oh, I can make money doing this. Oh, I can make money doing this. Oh, I can make money doing this. But without that focus and that strategic approach, you're just throwing things out. It's like throwing spaghetti on a wall to see if it sticks. You're really wasting your time. It is so important when you're starting a business to really stay focused on what you're trying to accomplish. And this type of action plan that we're talking about today is going to help you stay focused. And so the key here is that it has to be simple. Because when we get too complex, then we get overwhelmed and we can't actually get anything done. So I'm telling you, you do not need a 50-page document that details every possible scenario. You also don't need extensive financial projections that, again, you'll never look at unless you're going to a bank or getting a large investment like a venture capitalist. If you're just starting your own small business, you don't need all those things. And you also don't need a lot of complex industry jargon that makes it sound like it's fancier than it really is. And so what you do need is a clear action plan, a roadmap that really answers the question of where are you going as a business? How are you going to get there? And what will it take to get there? And what does that look like? So the plan really evolves with you as the business grows, as you learn, you test, and you grow. And we're going to talk about that in just a second. A document that fits a few pages and keeps you really focused on what to execute on and what is more important is really all you need, because you want to refer to that. That's helping you stay on track. That's your roadmap. Too often we end up as entrepreneurs going, oh, this is a really great idea, I'll pursue this. Oh, this is a really great idea, I'll pursue this. And the whole point of this is that you need to stay focused. When we direct our attention to multiple things, especially in the early stages of our business, we're not actually giving our full weight and expertise into that one thing succeeding. And so you might have a lot of irons in the stove, but you're not actually going to get a meal out of it. And so it's really hard as entrepreneurs because our brains, we're visionary. We see where we're going and we know we can get there. And we're trying to come up with every idea possible to get there. But you really need that direction from an action plan in steps to help you identify how you're going to get there. And then after you've created those steps, followed those steps, you test, you make changes, you adapt, you find out what's working, what's not working. This does not need to be a perfect document. It just needs to give you that simple roadmap. So what are those core sections of the business plan that you absolutely need? So what do we need to keep and what to ignore? Now again, this business plan is to guide you. It's to help you. It's not for anyone else. Unless you're going after a loan or venture capital, this is for you. So don't overwhelm yourself with it. But what does actually matter in that business plan? And we narrow it down into several areas. We have the vision and the mission. We have our target audience, our business model, our marketing and sales strategy, and our financial overview. So let's break those down. The vision and mission. That is your why. Why behind the business? Why did you want to do this? If you were just starting a business just to make money, that's not a good enough reason. You have to have some why behind that. What is driving you? What's motivating you about this business and why it exists? What's that bigger picture? When we sit down and really write that out, then a lot of times we think, oh, well, I want to make money. Well, yeah, I do, but I also want to serve people. I also want to help people with, in this case, hobby to profitability and building their business and making that $1 million mark. There's always a why behind everything. And so identifying that early on and just being able to write that down will help you with making sure you're on the right track. So ask yourself these questions. What problem are you solving with this business? Not just for you personally, but for your audience. And what changes do you want to create within the industry that you're working in? What does that look like? And what would it mean to accomplish those things? Your vision here is the big picture. It's the long-term impact on the people that you serve. It should be very practical based on what you're trying to accomplish. So the second thing is the target audience. And I cannot emphasize this enough. If you do not know your target audience, you will not be successful. Understanding the target audience is so important when you are developing messaging, how you're going to market to them, how you're going to sell to them, what your products mean to this audience, why they would even buy your audience, how are you different than somebody else. It is really important. This is one of the most vital parts of your plan, identifying who you really are going to meet. Now, I know what you're saying. If you're like me, you're introvert. I started a business without talking to people. I had this grandiose idea, but the truth of the matter is, yeah, the audience wanted it, but they couldn't afford it. So you have to be really careful and do the research, talk to people. And that can feel very overwhelming if you're not an outgoing person. But it's important to understand that what you have to offer, is it something that, one, people want, but also are they willing to actually purchase it? What does that mean? What does that look like? Understanding what their big pain points are, how you solve those pain points, how you are different from your competition, if you're different from your competition. What type of things can you offer this audience that maybe your competition is not offering? You want to really clearly define this audience before you go further, because your marketing and sales will always be impacted by your audience, and you don't want that to be guesswork. And this is one of those things that if you don't want to waste money on marketing and sales, you really need to tie down who you're really selling to. Because when we start really targeting in, then we're much more efficient in what we're doing from a marketing and sales perspective. Now, the next section within your business plan is going to be your business model, the strategy. How are you making money? What products and services are you going to offer? What does that look like? Now, you need to be really careful here. Let me give you an example. So I redid a website for somebody that was an interior designer. We went over and built her entire wireframes, which means we kind of laid out the design and look of it, what she was selling, what people were going to do when they come to the website, how we were going to get their information. We create this website. I hand it back over to her. She did not have the means or thought she did not want to pay us to manage her site and, create the maintenance and make sure that was stable. And maybe a month later, 2 months later, she calls me and says, I broke the site. Can you help me? Well, she hadn't paid me the maintenance fee. But of course I'll help you. I'll figure out what's going on here. And then I started to look at what she had done, and she started adding other products and services. It was actually another service into her mix on her product pages. And I asked her, I'm like, well, where's this new service that you're offering? You never mentioned this. And she's like, well, I know it was something that I'm good at and I like doing. I'm like, okay, well, do you make money off of it? Well, no. I'm like, well, why are you going to spend time on it if there's no money to be made on it when your other services you're making a lot more money? Well, that's true, but I do like doing it. Well, it doesn't matter, because if you're not going to make money off of it, don't waste your time. Don't confuse your audience with throwing some service in there that is not going to equal what you need out of the business. So we have to make those hard decisions. The other thing we're going to look at in this section is, how do we price our services and products? to make them so they're profitable. This is one of the hardest things I believe in business, is making those decisions, because if you price too little, you leave money on the table. If you price too high, you're going to alienate some of your audience. And so this is where it can be really challenging to figure out that pricing, and every industry does it slightly different. What are the core revenue streams that you're creating? So you've decided the products and services, and you're deciding the pricing. What's that revenue stream really look like? And then avoid overcomplicating this. Simple and clear is always better. If you have a feeling that, okay, I think I should be priced here, but I'm just getting started, maybe price a little bit lower and see what happens. Somebody told me, a coach that I had once, that on proposals that you're sending out for services, what percentage are coming back as a yes, they want to purchase your services, versus a no? And if you're getting the majority of the people coming back saying, yes, I want your services, then chances are you may be underpricing yourself. Or on the other side, if you're getting people saying, no, absolutely not, you're either talking to the wrong audience or they just can't afford your services. So be mindful of that strategy, or that the statistics around how many people are really purchasing. Now, the next part of our marketing and sales plan is how to attract and convert your customers. Now, marketing and sales is a big deal. If you don't have your marketing and sales in the right position, you're not going to make money. And you potentially could waste a lot of money. And so it's important to understand your customers and your target audience, but it's also important to understand where they hang out. And so social media is a great example of this. If you're talking to professionals and you're selling B2B, you need to be on LinkedIn. If you're selling to consumers that are baby boomers or Gen X, Facebook is where you need to be. If you're trying to go after consumers that are younger, that are either young millennial or they're in the Z generation or younger, then you need to be on TikTok. Understanding where your audience hangs out, and the majority of them, and where they interact with, is going to be really important. You may have a business that is very much referral based, that you get referrals from other strategic partners. So you're going to look for ways to market your services by connecting with those strategic partners. Social media may not even be what you need. It may be actually a matter of what networking events, who do I need to partner with that are going after a similar audience that I'm going after, that I can partner with, and we can complement each other and really serve that client well. That's important to understand. What marketing strategies will you focus on? There are so many marketing strategies. You have search engines, you have for SEO, you have website stuff, you have lead magnets, you have social media, you have videos now, you have all these different things that you can be doing. And the thing about it is, if you're starting a business that isn't a marketing business, you don't want to spend all your time doing marketing or doing sales. So you really have to be strategic about how and where you're going to go after your audience, because it is nearly impossible to do all of it unless you have an unlimited marketing budget. And I don't know any company that does. This is really important to also understand that customer and the customer journey. How do they discover you, and how do you get them from discovery to purchase? That is a lot different if you're selling a low-cost product versus you're selling an expensive service. And so understanding the difference in what that journey is, if you're selling something that is expensive from a service standpoint, you can't just call someone and say, hey, Do you want to get married? Please buy my service. You have to massage and add value and give them education and information and build that relationship before you can really say, hey, let's do business together. And so it's really important to understand that. So you want just a few strategies that you're going to focus on, and you're really going to make sure you're walking people through that journey. Let's be real. Random marketing tactics aren't going to grow your business. It's like throwing spaghetti at a wall, hoping the spaghetti will stick. If you're tired of spinning your wheels, or in this case, throwing spaghetti, then it's time to take a smarter approach. The Marketing Momentum Workshop is built for small business owners just like you, who need real results, not just more marketing noise. In one 4-hour session, we will work with you to pinpoint the best strategies and create a roadmap for your business that's going to help it grow. Take the first step. Book your free marketing health check now at behindthedesignco.com, and let's get your business moving in the right direction. Now, I could go on and on and on about marketing and sales because that is my forte, but these are what you really need to focus on. I would say 3 marketing strategies, especially early on, and stick to those for a period of time. Test and see how you're doing in that area. If your social media is taking up to a year to show any return on investment, ads, you're really talking you have to do at least 3 to 6 months worth of ads, either on Google or on social, to really see the impact if it's working or not working. So keep this in mind. How much money are you going to be spending on these things to test them and to give it the adequate number of time you need to truly test and get the right results? All right, the last section we want to put on our action plan or our business plan here is financial overview. First, we're going to start with what are the startup costs and what are your operating costs. So startup costs are initial things that you're going to be paying for. Let's say you want a website. You don't know how to do a website, so you have to hire someone. That's an initial cost. Operating expense is there a maintenance fee that you're going to be paying month after month for that person who designed your website to maintain your website, to make sure it's healthy, make sure that no malware, that it hasn't been hacked, that it's being updated accordingly. That's operating costs. If you're working or renting a office, that's part of your monthly operating, but there may have been some startup costs like a deposit early on. What is startup and what is operating? You need to separate them because some startups you only pay once and you won't necessarily pay again. Versus operating costs are things you're going to have to pay either annually or on a monthly basis. What is your break-even point? Now, running a business, it can get very costly, especially with all the tools out there now that you can subscribe to. Subscriptions are a problem with business owners as well as people. And so we really have to look at what do we really need to do to operate this business, bring in money, and make money. And then what is that break even? At every month, how much do you need to bring in every month to break even? When we know that number, then we are much more understanding or likely to be successful in the strategies we put forth. So if I know that I need $10,000 every month, I am using easy numbers, $10,000 every month to pay an employee or a VA or rent or whatever those operating expenses are, then I know that I need to make that every month. And then after that, that's when we start getting into that profit. And where does that go? And then how are you going to ensure profitability? What's your pricing strategy? What is your profit margins? What's your reoccurring revenue? These are all things that are really important to identify when looking at your financial overview. And then this can be done on a simple spreadsheet with your revenue goals and your cost estimates. Is often good to track these things. In some cases, and I track this down to where you pay something every year, like a subscription. You can pay it annually. It's a little cheaper than if you pay it monthly. But you still have to divide that out each month to see if I paid, $120 for this service, that's $10 every month. I have to understand that, how that kind of all goes together. Now, things that you can ignore on your business plan is, and one more thing on the financial that I forgot to mention. It is so important to understand your financials and stay on top of it. And if that is not your strong suit, then in your operating expenses, you need to add in paying for a bookkeeper. You're definitely going to want a CPA and that specializes in taxes, but you want a bookkeeper. If that is your weakest place, hire experts that can help you. Now, what you can ignore. Excessive market research. I have seen this over and over and over where people continuously do more and more research and more research, and they never actually launch. It is important to know your customers, but it's also important to take action. So you don't need a 10-page industry analysis. You want to know what the competitors are doing in the marketplace, but you don't need a 10-page market or competitor analysis either. You just want to kind of look at what's out there, who you're competing against, and be familiar with their products. Don't go also with overly complex financial models. If your business is under $1 million, keep it simple. This is good for so many reasons. You don't need a really expensive system if you're under $1 million. You just don't. And so keep it easy, keep it simple. You want your goals, but you don't want to overdo it. Now, I would also skip the executive summary, the company history, and any legal details. Unless you are going after investors, nobody needs to know your daily operations. You're just laying out that roadmap of how you're going to get where you are today and where you're going to tomorrow or the next day. So really streamline the process and the whole plan, make it practical, actionable, and easy to reference. You are going to want to look at it on a regular basis. You're going to make sure you're tying things back into it. This is the roadmap. You also need to trust your gut. So often we think this is where that analysis paralysis come in. We start questioning our gut and going, I don't know if this is going to work, or the risk we're taking here sounds really scary. These are normal feelings, normal reactions, but trust yourself. If you have a really good idea, you have an audience that's willing to buy it, you're going to do well, and you're going to have to believe in yourself to get there. Now, how do we shape that plan so that we're not just looking at today, but we're also looking at a year, 3 years, and 5 years? This is really important. Let's talk about the different stages of business. And I say this is important because, one, it helps you from a mindset perspective to understand and to deal with the risks that you are taking. It is not easy to quit a W-2 job and go out on your own. It's not easy to start something completely from scratch. It's actually really hard. But it's important to kind of have that not only dream, but the strategy on how you're going to get there. And understanding the different stages of your business is going to be important. So year one of any business is purely foundation. I have talked to a lot of people, and I have also experienced this where you go into business, you think you're going to make all this money, you get through the first year, and you're just starting to make traction. Some businesses don't even turn a profit until year 3. That's on average. And so understanding where you're at, understanding this is your foundation, you're building that foundation. You're focusing on validating your ideas. You're going to be testing your offers. You're going to be testing marketing channels. You're going to be testing the audience and the messaging. You're going to get feedback and make adjustments. You're measuring all this and what's working and what isn't working. And you're building consistencies within the marketing and the operations. This is where you're identifying the systems that you need to operate, and you're really honing in on those. And as you move past year one, you're really going to start looking at those systems and processes that you're working on and fine-tuning them. You're going to look at what's working, what's not working. By year 3, you're in the growth and scaling stage, and you're looking at these things in a lot more detail. What products worked, what products didn't work. I can tell you from my own experience, we have launched products that I thought were good and fell really flat. We've done other things that did really well. You have to continuously measure, identify, and be honest with yourself on what's working and what you need to optimize more of versus what's not working and that you just need to walk away from and say, that's not a moneymaker. I thought it was going to be a good idea. It wasn't. The audience didn't want it. Maybe it wasn't that audience, but it's time to walk away. You're also by year 3, you're going to start expanding into your different revenue streams. Now, there is an important point here, and a lot of people, including myself, have struggled with this. When we focus on something, we can easily become unfocused when we start adding too many things into the mix. But on the other hand, we also can fall into a trap where we are not taking action or think we're not ready for it. This podcast is a perfect example. I have wanted to launch this podcast for so long, but I kept putting it off. When I'm ready. It's not time yet. Until finally I realized, what was I waiting on? If it flops, it flops. But at least get started. Take action. And so as we move through those first few years, you need to be careful of those things. Are you not taking action from expanding your revenue streams because it's smart for your business right now? Or are you doing it because it's scary and it's a risk and you don't know what's going to happen? And so when you get to year 3, you're really going to have a lot of knowledge and wisdom that comes with 3 years in business to help with that growth and the strategy and have a better idea of where you're going revenue-wise from a strategic standpoint. This is also your hiring more people or outsourcing more to free up your time. Those first 3 years is really the time where you are just so dedicated. Now, this could be 3 years, it could be 5 years, but this is once you get to year 3, you want to really focus on the strategy behind it, not necessarily the day-to-day. You're hiring people to handle the day-to-day. And then by year 5, you're really looking at that long-term vision and expansion. You're reevaluating it. By this point, you can easily reevaluate different business models. Does it still align with your vision? Is this working? Is there something else we could be offering our customers? Think about automating processes and increasing efficiency. Now, this one, honestly, you should be doing this all along. But by the time you get to year 5, you know so much about that business. You can start looking at with a different set of eyes on how you can explore new options, new operating, new systems. What kind of software can you bring in to help you? And you might also be looking at how you can explore expansion opportunities. Now, with all of this said, this does not mean you're following this perfect year by year. Some people get to what we're in the long-term vision a lot quicker than other companies do, and that's okay. You're running on your own. But the one thing you have to remember is, especially when it comes to identifying how you're going to build something, is understanding how long. Time is a huge commodity. You don't have all the time in the world, nor do you have all the budget in the world or the support staff. So some things are going to move slower than others, but it is all about taking action. So you want this roadmap, this business action plan, to really help you stay on track and keep you from feeling overwhelmed. So I hope this kind of helped you build that idea and helped you with simplifying your approach to a business plan. I would love to hear from you. Screenshot this episode and share it on Instagram or LinkedIn, Facebook, and tag me with your biggest takeaways. If you're watching on YouTube, leave me a comment. Be sure to subscribe. And if you're really wanting to create that business roadmap but have no idea where to even start, that you're really struggling with how to build the strategy behind all of that, check out our Marketing Momentum Workshop. This is a workshop I work with you for 4 hours one-on-one. We identify a lot of the things behind the marketing plan, what those strategies are, who your audience is, how you're going to go after them. We lay that all out into a roadmap from a marketing and sales perspective and help you reach their goals. So you can actually schedule a free 30-minute consultation with me, and we can talk that through. And you can find information on our website at behindthedesignco.com. Next week, we are diving into how to get in front of your dream clients without spending a lot of money on ads. And this is going to be very marketing focused. What can you be doing if you don't have a large ad budget? So hopefully you'll stick with me. Hopefully you'll subscribe, and I don't want you to miss out on this. So thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next time on the Hobby to Profitability podcast. Thank you for listening to the Hobby to Profitability podcast with Jacqueline Green. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, or share it with a friend. You can learn more about Behind the Design at our website at behindthedesignco.com, and be sure to connect with me on LinkedIn or subscribe to the Behind the Design channel on YouTube for more great business growth strategies. Now, I'll see you next time.